Would I invest in this deal or package it up? Hey guys, welcome to Deal Review. This is a series in which we look at sold properties and we look at them through the lens of a property investor to see if they'd make for a good property investment. This time we have a property on Waterloo Road in Cranbrook, and this is near Tunbridge Wells, which is like South Kent. It's a very nice area. So property prices are a little bit more expensive there. And this property needs a refurb. It's also a grade 2 listed building. Now I know you're going to hear grade 2 listed building if you're an investor, and you're going to shake because you're going to be like, oh no, because grade 2 listed building means it's a historical building and the council there decide that it needs to retain a certain look. And in order to change anything about that, you need to get planning permission, which also means that typically that you can't change the doors and the windows. And if you do decide to get those changed, you need to inform the council and go to a very particular window builder to be able to make sure that that window meets the specifications that the council set, so it retains its condition, which is a longer process and can cost a little bit more money. But as an investor, it's important to know that, or as an entrepreneur, that this is about solving problems, right? When everyone runs away from something, if you can see a problem somewhere and you know how to fix it, that's where money can be made. So let's look at the figures and see if this has the potential to be a good investment. So we're going to look at the photos now. As you can see, the front of it looks actually all right. It just needs a bit of a tidy up around the front. Of course, this needs to completely get redone, right? That maybe a new door there. We need a new kitchen. We're going to need, look, we need to get new repaint, probably some plaster in there as well. New flooring. I assume that the fireplace probably has to be retained, so that as well. The back garden doesn't look too bad. Probably, maybe get some people in there for £500 to sort that out. The roof looks a bit discolorated, so, looks like that might need a bit of a repair. So need to account for that. And also we've got plants all over this, so that needs to all be cleaned up as well. But you know what? These windows actually don't look too bad. So some windows on the outside look fine. But I'm going to keep going through the photos to have a look. And as you can see, this needs to completely get redone. So again, some new wallpaper, flooring. I don't know about these lights here. They probably have to get changed. I'm not sure. On the inside though, you can see some of these windows seem to be falling apart a bit. So, that needs to get sorted out. New bathroom here as well. This needs to get repainted. Again, another fireplace. A blue one. And oh, here's an interesting thing. Look at that. We can see that there seems to be a crack in the ceiling that's being cut off on the photo. So you need to go to these properties once you found this opportunity, because you don't know what the extent of the damage is to a property until you've actually been there. As you can see, this looks like there's some damage to the ceiling, but it's being cut out in the photo. So it's important to make sure you go to the property and actually see for yourself, which I'm sure if you're buying a property, you probably will. But there you go. Photos can't tell everything. So that needs to be accounted for as well. So there might be some damp in this property. But okay, so we know what the property is. This property doesn't have any floor plans that have been shown, so we can't work it out that way. In order to find the floor area, I had to go into the description, which they listed the size for all the rooms, and then I worked out the square meterage based on all of them, and then I converted it to square footage, because that's how I work with the majority of my numbers work on square footage. So I have to convert it over to that. But now we have the property, we have how big it is. The most important part of finding how good an investment is finding what the property is going to be worth and what the property has the potential to be worth, right? And to do that, you need to find properties locally that have sold within the area, that have been sold at an end condition, meaning that it's already been refurbed and it's sold in a nice condition. So we know if we do our property up and then sell it on, we've got a better idea of how much that's going to sell for. So I've saved time and I've done that here. I have one current market comparable, and to be honest, it's not that bad. It doesn't really look like our property from the outside. Because our property is grade 2 listed, there's not a whole bunch of comparables I have for grade 2 listed, but I've got to do with the best I can with what's available. But as you can see, this needs some updating, but it is in a much better condition. So, this probably isn't the best current market comparable, but it needs some modernizing. So we're going to use that for current market comparable. Then we have a bunch of end value comparables. This is also a listed building that got updated. It could probably, I think it needs a better kitchen, but you know what? The rest of the property looks like it's in good condition. So we got that. We've got a couple more here. I won't go down all of these, but as you got an example for an end condition, so it's had a new kitchen in there. The outside looks great. All the rooms look like they've been done up. Nice property. So what we do is we then find out how much that sold, when that sold, and how big those properties are, and then we're able to work out the price per square footage, and then adjust that square footage based on the appreciation of the area. Now it's worth noting that the appreciation for this particular area is very strange. If I use my usual software, PropertyMarketIntel, once I did an area report of this particular area, we can see that if we use that graph, the properties, it doesn't seem like it, the properties seem to, from 2000 and from 2000 and then to 2016, it doesn't look like there's any data points. It's like it has one data point here and then the other one here, and then the price has just gone down. So I don't think it has enough data, or wherever it's pulling its data from, it doesn't have enough. And then as you can see, it goes up and then drops off 36%. So I saw this and I was like, I don't know if I trust this all that much. Now I know over the last year, prices have been dipped, you know, in most areas of Kent and the UK, right? So that's not a surprise that prices dip. But the fact that there seems to be some holes in the data, I had to do a bit more research. And so I went over to Rightmove sold prices, and that uses land registry data to work it out. And then if we have a look at that data over the past 2 years, we can see that it's pretty much stayed consistent, with last year in January having a massive spike. So it might be pulling from this data where it takes the biggest spike of that year and then adjusts it for now. So last year the average price was 963,000, and now it is 611,000, which it's about 36%, something like that. So that might be where the data is being pulled from. But if we look over this and we look over the last, if we go all time, which goes back to 2000, then we can see that the prices have been rising steadily, and then it's just had a bit of chaos over the last couple of years. So for this deal in particular, I didn't really adjust the prices because all the properties are this year and last year and the year before. And because there seems to be so much a bit of chaos, I don't think it's reliable to be able to say this is a consistent appreciation. So I've kind of just kept the sold prices as is. And using that, we're going to go ahead and find out what the end value of our property is. So once you find out the price per square and you've adjusted by appreciation, in this case we haven't, then you times it by the square footage of our property, and then it'll give you an idea of what our property can sell for. And in this case, the GDV coming from the manual comparables, right, is 541,000, right, 541,000. So that's great because it gives us a little bit of room to work with. It's not a fantastic amount of room if we buy the property for 400 for what is listed, but let's go ahead and use some other sources to predict the price. So that's my manual comparables, which most people would say are the strongest comparables, but because this is such a unique property, even with manual comparables, it's a little bit tough to work out the value, right? But I'm getting 541. If we use Mouse Price, which is a free service you can use online, and that can work out properties and give you also a percentage of confidence on, not percentage, but give you, it gives it a category of confidence on what it's going to be worth. And if we have a look at that, that's giving us an evaluation of 471,000, and it gives it a medium high confidence, right? Now I've used this software before on some deals and it's been completely off. So we have another data point to go by. So that one says 471. Let's also use PropertyMarketIntel's evaluation feature. And here you can see it pulls from all these comparables, but it doesn't take into account the condition of these comparables, all right? And that gives us a sale evaluation of 450 plus or minus £25,000. So we have a range of evaluations here. Now, what I like to do to be as conservative as possible and is to take all these, and if we've got more. Obviously, the third thing you'd like to do is go to agents in the area and then see what they say the property's worth. Maybe get 1 or 2 agents to give you a quote, and that way you have multiple sources of what this evaluation is. But since this is just a YouTube video and I'm just working off whatever data I have using these softwares, what I'm going to say is that the GDV for this is going to be at 450. Right? It's the most conservative one. I could go down an extra 25, but let's just stick with 450 for the sake of the video. What does that leave us with? Well, we have the purchase price, the potential purchase price of 400,000. We have an end figure of 450. Next, we need to know what the build cost is. What I've done for the build cost is do flooring, plastering, all the rooms repainted, a rewire, kitchen, bathroom, boiler, windows, doors, garden, and £10,000 for anything else that I can find. On top of that, I also add an extra 20% for contingency in case I've missed anything. And you know, it's just always good to have a bit of padding to make sure that, you know, if anything goes wrong, you've got some room there for things to go wrong. And that gives us a build cost of 60,000, you know, basically 60,000, right? Then we've got some other fees, so almost 20,000 for stamp duty, 2,000 for legals, and a sourcing fee of £8,000. So either if you use a sourcer or an agent to go through this property, then you'll be paying about £8,000 for that, which will then leave us with a profit of minus £38,000. Basically £39,000. So that's no good. We are currently working with a deal that loses money. That's not great at all. So with a return, that would give us a return on investment of basically minus 8%, right? So as is, I don't think this would be a great investment whatsoever. Also looking for what it could rent out for. Let's say you bought it for that, you've done the refurb, you lost money in terms of the value of the property. What could this rent out for? And if we have a look in the area, this area doesn't really rent out, so maybe it might not be a good area to rent out, but we've got 2 properties as comparables within a mile, and this one sold for, this one rents out for $950 a month, and that one goes for $1150. So let's say we could get it for $1150, right? We do it to a nice standard, we can get $1150 for it. We're getting a profit of about £10,000 a year, £10,500 a year, and a return on investment of 2.13% because you've got to leave all your money in the deal. So I don't think this is a good investment at all in terms of if you wanted to rent it out for cash flow, or even if you wanted to do it as a flip. In order for this to be a good investment, you're going to have to get this down a fair bit. So let's go to 300,000. 300,000, if you get it for 300,000, then we're looking much better, right? I think that's, you could argue that that's a good deal, 18%. I think it could be a relatively quick refurb. However, it might need planning. And if it needs planning, that's where this is gonna become just a horrible deal, because you don't know how long the planning is gonna take, right? It could take a long time, it could take 8 months, it could take a year. So, or it could take, you know, 2 months, who knows? But yeah, if we could get this for maybe 280, 280, 290, 300, that's kind of the range you want to be in for this deal to make sense. But as stands, would I invest in this deal or package it up? Absolutely not. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Deal Review. If you enjoy this content, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and maybe a comment for any advice you want to see in these to make them a little bit better. And if you want to work with me, I work with a team of deal sourcers up and down the country, finding incredible deals for you to invest in. So if you want to get your hands on a fantastic deal, subscribe to my website and book a free 30-minute call. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.